Comedian and writer Loisa Gola is taking me on a tour of South Africa to find out why does everyone hate the British Empire. As colonisation was all about money, I bet any dirty deals involved gold.
It's beautiful here, but the real thing about South Africa for the British Empire is its natural resources, diamonds and gold. But has that benefited South African people?
It's benefited Britain more than it's benefited South Africa.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to dig yourself out of. I'm taking Elle to Johannesburg. It's time to debunk a few myths about the British Empire's get-rich-quick scheme in the City of Gold.
Look, I'm going to let you into a bit of insider info here. Right, listen up. This is how an empire works. The ancient and noble system of finders keepers. And for the British Empire, that meant anything found underground is property of the crown. Other rules include he who smelt it, dealt it, last one to the gold mine is a sissy, and don't talk to strangers. Just shoot them. The largest single source of gold in history was first discovered in Witwatersrand in 1886. British imperialists were quick off the mark to see it as a worthwhile investment. But at this point, Britain didn't control all of South Africa, and unfortunately the gold was in Boer-held territory. But more about that later. First, we're heading down a mineshaft to get the facts.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Great, thanks.
Fine, thanks. And you, my name is Nelly. I'll be your underground tour guide. Did you understand our mine rules? In case you have an asthma, high blood, low blood?
Yeah, I'm pretty healthy.
Also going to assure you with the lights as well.
There you are, Nelly.
Always gotta mind your head.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my days.
Make no mistake, we're about to descend into the bowels of the earth, where the Empire reaped the rewards of the gold rush.
And the workforce. Let's hear what they got out of it. So, is it too morbid to ask how many people died in this mine?
Yes, sir. Since they used to hire about 30,000 workers, it can be half of that as well.
Half?
Yes, sir.
Like 15,000, like
Yes.
gone?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
My God. But how much gold came out of this mine?
That's about 1.4 million kilograms of gold, yes, sir.
1.4 million kilograms.
Watch your step on your way out.
Thank you, yeah.
No, that's a lot of gold.
That's a lot of gold, Nelly. Wow.
For the record, that's the equivalent of £64 billion in today's money.
Can I just say, not much of that made it into the local economy.
You can also use your lights to shine here. Where you see black, that's the gold.
Did your tooth, is that from in here?
No, it didn't come from here.
Yeah, but how deep is the deepest point?
Up to level 47, there's a total of 3,293 meters deep.
10,000 feet? What?
And they say the deeper they used to go, the temperature is very high, 40, 45 degrees hot, because it's very close to the lava, closer to the core as well.
That's a loss.
The gold seams in Johannesburg were narrow, crooked, and ran diagonally, making it impossible to use machines. All the gold had to be dug by hand, and the cheapest labour to do that was, of course, black South Africans. Which is where this fella comes in, the now notorious British mining magnate Cecil Rhodes. In 1888, he founded De Beers Diamond Company and became the richest man on planet Earth. Rhodes believed in the superiority of white English people over all others, and so saw the black natives of South Africa as inferior. He also saw it as his God-given task to expand the empire in South Africa by 750,000 square miles, giving him more black South Africans to control and, crucially, more cheap labour to exploit. Rhodes was responsible for the deaths of 20,000 African people. And yet, he ended up with his very own statue.
And Oxford College still have it on show. They put a nice plaque up, though, to put it all into context.
The villain of the piece, I think, is Cecil Rhodes. If there's one guy you can, like, say he's the arch-imperialist.
Yeah, he's definitely the villain in these colonial stories. But I think sometimes the belief can overwhelm your logic and your idea of morality.
Yeah.
He must have been consumed by the Great British Project.
Yeah.
Once someone is engulfed in projects and ideas,
It takes them away with it.
It takes them away.
By 1899, the gold industry employed over 100,000 black migrant workers. Mined during those same colonial years are diamonds mounted in our sovereign's crown jewels, including the Great Star of Africa, the biggest clear-cut diamond in the world.
Okay, I'm taking Al to Wittkop next, where the British almost got their asses whipped by a bunch of Dutchmen. They attempted to take their land and gold from under their noses.
Simon, hello.
Oh, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Teresa.
Simon, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Nice to meet you.
What have we got here?
Well, we're stood in front of an Anglo-Boer War blockhouse, built in about 1901. Really parts of the British tactics that we used to defeat the Boer commandos during the Anglo-Boer War. These are really just defensive structures.
And boy, did we need them. In 1899, yet again, the British Army underestimated its opponent in South Africa. Thinking the Boers were simple Dutch farmers, they came up against skilled horsemen and excellent marksmen who knew the land like the backs of their hands. The Boers mounted an impressive guerrilla campaign.
They started attacking infrastructure. There was about 6,700 kilometres worth of railway line that just needed protecting. And that was the protection phase. The next phase then was to capture the Boer commandos.
Well, yeah, because how did they defeat the commandos?
Basically, the tactic that was used by the kind of officer corps of the day was to conduct like an estate shoot.
OK, rewind.
To conduct like an estate shoot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The tactical equivalent of an afternoon's pheasant shoot.
This sounds very British to me.
They were called drives, similar to what an estate shoot is called. You go and drive birds into butts with shotguns and shoot them, and in a similar vein, they would have a roving column, which would pretty much form up shoulder to shoulder, could be up to 6,000 men, and then sweep across the veldt with horses and guns and sweep them onto blockhouse lines.
When the blockhouse game shoot approach didn't work, because the Boers were simply too agile, the British sent for Army Chief of Staff Horatio Kitchener. In 1901, with his new scorched earth policy, he decided to cut off enemy supplies by torching over 30,000 Boer farms, as well as the black households built on them. Everything, including livestock, was burned to the ground. The displaced Boer families were herded into refugee shelters, or as they were later called, concentration camps.
Yeah, this was a British invention.
There was a black population also went into concentration camps at that time as well.
All right. I thought this was just white people killing each other, and you know,
How many? Yeah, but how many?
That was all right.
How many black people were part of the war?
In terms of the camp, it was about the same amount that went into the concentration camps, if not a little bit more. Part of history that's not been particularly written about.
Britain finally succeeded in wresting the land and gold out of the Boers' hands in 1902, with the Boer republics of Transvaal and the Orange Free State absorbed into the British Empire. As for Kitchener, he was made a Viscount on his return to Britain and memorialised in marble.
Not another one of Britain's statues.
Afraid so. And there's another one at the south side of Horse Guards Parade. OK, so I chose this next stop-off.
Just one of the British concentration camps.
Well, more of a graveyard. I've been doing my own research on these places and kind of uncovered more than I wanted to know.
I think this is where they got the design for the Ku Klux Klan hat. Yeah, this is a bit intense.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is going to sound like a strange thing to say at a graveyard, but this is one of the better camps.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Riddle me that.
Well, because the guy who ran it, he was English, but his wife was a Boer, so he did what he could to make sure conditions in the camp were good.
The camps were split into black and white. They were overcrowded and riddled with disease.
This is a measles outbreak, if you can imagine that.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm trying to also picture what a better concentration camp would be.
Well, this is it, you see, because the
other ones have still water, you have your option of sparkling, I don't know.
I don't know. This is a camp for white people. There's a black camp nearby.
Okay.
There's no records from that camp, so we don't know what happened there. So we don't know what the mortality rate is there.
There was no sparkling water, I'll tell you that. Oh, man, this is a bit rough.
The thing is, the British government's use of propaganda was always key. The 100 or so camps holding over 250,000 Boers and native Africans were justified as humanitarian aid. Taking the moral high ground was crucial in gaining public support for an all-out war with the Boers. But the concentration camps backfired. Big time.
Because this is so bad and it causes outrage in Britain. And word gets back to London and this absolute scandal and outrage about these camps. The British feel that they have to settle with the Boer and be generous to them.
Yes.
Right? And the generosity they show is they shut black people out of the political settlement.
In 1910.
That follows, yeah, exactly. Because the Boer don't want them included. But the British, I imagine the British don't either, but they offer it as a concession. And that's what then I think leads to apartheid.
Right. So they're doing this thing to black people and Boers.
Yeah.
But instead of black people and Boers kind of going, actually, forget these British people. Yeah. They kind of like against each other in a way, as opposed to fighting the British.
Well, yeah, the British then, having divided the Boer, then conquer them. But the way they get them on board is by saying, all right, no black people from now on in the political settlement in South Africa.
Oh, wow. Okay, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
That works.
The thing I'm really finding in South Africa is the deals the British try and do. This is a place where they're always trying to do a deal. They're always trying to cut a deal. They're trying to play people off against each other. And if there's one way to get people annoyed with you, that is the way to do it. And I think so much of what happens in the 20th century is the stirring of the pot that goes with the gold rush, that goes with the British butting up against the Boers. And then this Faustian deal is struck between those two factions that shuts black people out, sets the scene for the 20th century.